Welcome to Flat Out Elected. My name is Rand Campbell, and this video hopefully will guide and help anybody that is introducing flat Earth to somebody that is a heliocentric heathen. I have watched and participated in many debates with flat Earth believers that are speaking and trying to convey how they came to the knowledge of flat Earth to people that simply suffer from cognitive dissonance and cannot see past their spinning wet ball rocket. But there is a way to convey flat Earth to these people that actually is very successful. And the first thing that you have to come to know is that you have to be in control of the conversation. Always remember, you used to believe what they're trying to re-educate you on. That's right. They're trying to re-educate the flat Earth believer on the spinning wet ball rocket, of which we all once believed. They're trying to re-educate you as though you never, ever, ever believed that we were on a globe, that we were on this spinning wet ball rocket flying through outer space. So in order to establish control of the conversation, because you cannot allow them to attempt to bring you back to what you've already discarded as a lie, if you're teaching them a truth. You see, the education system, of which is an indoctrination system, uses a particular strategy, and that strategy is that you begin the education system on the first rung of the ladder. Now, the first rung of the educational ladder is preschool, then kindergarten, grade 1, 2, 3, and as you climb up the rungs of the ladder, you get to a higher education. If you're going to educate any heliocentric heathen, anybody that believes what they have been told about where it is that we live, in that we live on a spinning wet ball rocket, you can't let them run you up the ladder. You can't allow them the control to take you from the first rung to the 5th, to the 10th, to the 12th. You have to obligate them to the very first rung of the ladder. So the very first thing you have to do is establish why they believe what they believe. Because clearly they've never, ever questioned it. Until you get them to establish why they believe what they believe, you can't even begin the process of taking them to the second rung. And yes, that ladder belongs to you. You are educating them. They are not educating you. The second rung of the ladder, if you can get them to establish that they've never questioned the spinning wet ball rocket and that they just believed it at a very young age, then you can take them to the second rung of the ladder. And the second rung of the ladder, you have to establish their evidences. You have to get them to question their own evidence. Because anybody that has come to be a flat Earth believer, for the most part, has come to be a flat Earth believer because the evidence of the spinning wet ball rocket is absolutely ludicrous. It is ridiculous. The burden of proof for the spinning wet ball rocket has to be put on the person that believes the spinning wet ball rocket. The burden of proof for flat Earth is not on you. The burden of the spinning wet ball rocket is on them. So don't let them control the conversation or control the debate by acting as though they control the flat Earth ladder. They do not control it. That ladder belongs to the believer that the spinning wet ball rocket is a lie. So when you debate these guys, or when you are in a conversation with somebody about flat Earth, hold on to the ladder. Do not give them control over what you're trying to teach them. The burden of proof for the spinning wet ball rocket is always on them. So when you get to the second rung, you start to ask them questions about their model. You start to ask them questions about their belief. Because it is a belief. They believe what they have been told. So one of the very first things that you can ask is, Where have they ever observed a curve? Without fisheye lens, have them prove the curve. Now, of course, they're going to come up with all kinds of pictures that you can easily debunk. They're going to come up with things that they believe they've seen but haven't, and you can easily debunk that. After you've exhausted them on the fact that there is no curve, then you can take them to water, because water is an absolute fact in that it always seeks its level. Always. Have them prove that mass water, that large pockets of water can bend. Because if the earth is 71% water, then it stands to reason that they believe water bends. They have to prove that. You can't let them run you up the rungs of the ladder without acknowledging and being confronted by the very simple fact that water always finds its level. Hold them to that. They believe water bends around a ball. Don't let them get away from that question. They have to prove that. Remember, the burden of proof is on them, not you. You already believed what they believed. You did believe water would bend around a ball. You did believe that there was a curve. You did believe that water sticks to a spinning ball. You see, you can't let them run you up the ladder with all of their ridiculous questions. You have to make them hold to what they believe, and they have to prove their spinning wet ball rocket. The burden of proof is always on the person that thinks we live on a ball, and then on the opposite side of where they're standing, somebody else is standing upside down. There are very simple, observational, provable facts that we are not on a spinning wet ball rocket. Hold them to their belief and have them prove what they believe. If you do that, if you keep them right there where they belong, which is to prove their belief by simple observation and common sense, they don't get to run you up the ladder. How they go up that ladder is by doing the research themselves. You're not responsible for their research. You're not responsible for them taking the time to investigate and question their own belief. That's on them. But if you keep them on the lowest rungs of the ladder and don't let them run you up the ladder, you will invoke them to actually do the research. But you have to hold them to the lowest rungs of the ladder in order for them to get the desire to research themselves up the ladder. And as they go up that ladder and do honest research, they're going to come to the truth that we are most certainly not on a spinning wet ball rocket. But do not let them take control of the conversation. It's not their ladder. This ladder of educating them is yours, not their ladder. The problem with most people that debate flat earth is that they allow the opponent, the heliocentric heathen, to take control of the ladder, and it's not their ladder. You already believed what they believed. You are educating them on why what they believe is absolutely 100% incorrect and a lie.
Is when you talking to the principalities and reminding the powers and telling them who you are and what's going to happen. That's when you get an attitude. We have access to God with boldness and confidence. We can go boldly to the throne of God. We can go confidently to him. But what does the devil do? He keeps bringing up your past. He keeps bringing up your failures. He keeps bringing up your shortcomings. I'm not going to God on the basis of my righteousness, not my righteousness. I'm going on the basis of his righteousness and who he is.